And welcome everyone to this week's episode of Craz's Corner. I'm joined by Will, and tonight we're talking about some sophomores, some guys who are going to take a step forward from their rookie year. And we're also going to be talking about some guys who could maybe be taking a step back. Will, how are we doing tonight? The draft, as of this moment, is tomorrow night. How are we feeling?
Right. I'm doing great. So let's even say our sophomore predictions are based on rosters as they are right now. Because maybe if a team drafted a running back, or a wide receiver, it could impact, or a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cowboys are talking about trading. How does that impact other teams? So doing great, but like you said, it's the night before Christmas, and so we just will live in the world we're in right now.
Yeah, we'll start right off with a guy who I think is going to take a little bit of a step forward this year. He was a guy who was drafted super high last year, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. Finished as the PPR wide receiver 30 last year, so you're looking at a guy who definitely didn't hit his expectations. But on this team for the Cardinals, they still have Kyler Murray. Hopefully this offense can take a step forward, and they really don't have any other wide receivers at this time. So I think that you're going to see some improvement from Marvin Harrison Jr. I think when you look at his game log last year, he had some really good games, and then he had some inconsistent games where he just wasn't getting the receptions you needed from him. The targets weren't there, but him and Kyler really weren't on the same page. So I think you give him another offseason with Kyler Murray and let them continue to build that rapport. I think we saw the talent was there for him. Everyone knew the talent was there for him coming out of school. So I think Marvin Harrison Jr., with another year under his belt, I think is going to be great with Kyler Murray in this offense. Do you agree, Will? You see him kind of going back to being a fringe wide receiver one where people kind of drafted him last year?
Yeah, and I think the best thing for him is a full year off season where he's just focused on being an NFL player. Look, he had a lot of distractions last offseason. Just being honest, he did. And for as highly praised as he was to have those distractions with the jersey, so let's hope that this offseason's been calm. He's focused. The Cardinals know how to use him and want to use him. And it should, to me, I think he has I think he has a big jump this year, to be honest with you. Uh-oh. Exactly. It's just the two of us. We can't have that.
Yeah, no, I definitely need to have me in there. But who's your guy who you think is going to take a step forward this year? It plays on the guy that Jeff sent us to as well, right?
Roma Dunze. Look, offensive-minded coach. If we see that type of production from Detroit brought over to Chicago, he is going to be wide receiver number one, and clear as day. And so, he had 3 touchdowns last year, 54 catches, something along that line. So, the sky's the limit. I think he ends up 8 touchdowns at a minimum. And so, that's doubling, more than doubling his production, probably close to 100 receptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if he doesn't get this year, we should all be worried.
Yeah, they bring in Ben Johnson. They upgrade the offensive line, so Caleb Williams will hopefully take a step forward. Keenan Allen is no longer there. I don't know if Roma Dunze will outperform DJ Moore to be the wide receiver one on the team, but I think they'll both be valuable. And there really is, we're looking at wide receiver 3s on this team. It's Olamide Zaccheaus, Tyler Scott, Devin Duvernay, so really no one there. At this moment. At this current moment, there's no one there that really scares me. That's like, oh my God, this guy, he's going to lose, or he's going to not gain touches. I think he's a guy that will be able to gain touches in the offense, and they should take a step forward together. And then we got some guys in the sophomore slumps, which we do see most of the time. I have one player I want to talk about, and then Will and I will do a little bit of discussing because Will doesn't really want to pick anyone out for a sophomore slump. So we'll talk a little bit about those players and how they are in a good position to step forward. But I want to talk about Bucky Irving. He's a guy currently Dynasty Football ADP is the running back 7. And that seems way too high for me. Yeah,
wait,
you're looking at
drafts as of right now, ADP 7?
Yeah.
Does those drafts include rookie running backs coming in?
Yep.
Wow, that's way too high. With this running back class, it's way too high.
Yeah, so I think to me, Bucky Irving is being drafted based on his finish to last year, where he had, 15, 16, 20, 19 carries a game. I don't know if that's necessarily a direction Tampa is going to go this year. Sean Tucker looked really well last year. They still have Rashad White, and the draft is incoming with a load of running back talent. I think Bucky Irving is going to be a good player. When we're talking about sophomore slump for fantasy, I don't expect him to be on the field for 72% of the times like he was against New Orleans in week 8. I don't think that's how the Buccaneers want to effectively use him. And if they do use him 70% of the plays, and like they did in the playoffs as well against Washington, I don't think Bucky's frame is going to hold up too well. So for me, I think Bucky's a guy where I'm a little bit hesitant on in comparison to apparently what other people have him doing, which is being, right in between Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor in ADP wise, and ahead of Omari in Hampton, and ahead of all those guys. So it's like I'm pumping the brakes on Bucky. Do you agree there that Bucky, you've ranked a little too high?
And the Bucky and all the Buccaneer fans out there, we're not saying he doesn't have a good role in that offense. It's just for fantasy numbers, does he take a dip? And he probably does.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here is that I don't think he's going to be used as much. He finished as the PPR running back 13. He had 5.5 yards of carry, almost 8 touchdowns on the ground, and I could see those numbers coming back a bit. So that's where we're looking at a slump. But you pointed out some good things. You're looking at quarterback positions. Jaden Daniels, they've added weapons around him. Caleb Williams added weapons around him. Drake May is in a better position than he was last year. Running backs, also most of them, at this moment, nothing really going on. And wide receivers, Malik Neighbors has no competition.
Has no competition, and you just wonder, is Russ going to Russ? And it just, you wonder, right? And so he probably takes a dip, but is it a slump? Or at least he's even? He probably, I don't know. That's why I look at the list of rookies last year. Of the players that really excelled, Irving's probably the only one that takes a dip because of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Malik Neighbors, 109 receptions, 1,200 yards last year. You're looking at a guy, even if you go into like Brian Thomas Jr., who had a really great season. Maybe the touchdowns take a step back, but he is the only wide receiver on that team right now. Maybe Parker Washington steps up.
So even like Coleman in Buffalo, it has to go up, right? Like it can't. If it goes down,
if he goes down, then he's probably out the league.
Right. So how does the changes in Oakland and the coaching philosophy change with Bowers? But I think actually Geno fits Bowers really well. So, I don't see a lot of slump from the rookie class last year.
Yeah, give the Raiders a new running back from this draft class and let Pete Carroll and Geno Smith run the play action, get Brock Bowers open that way, and I think he'll be good as well. So realistically, we had 2 guys that we think can take some step forwards. The rest of the rookies will probably, or sophomores will probably stay the same, if not step forward. And we are pumping the brakes on Bucky Irving for this upcoming season, at least for now. Maybe they do something with Rashad White or Sean Tucker, and they're like, hey, Bucky's the guy. He's going to get 70% of the work. I just don't see that happening at this point. So thank you for joining me, Will. Thanks for talking. Sophomores.
One more. I know it comes out after the draft and all that, but any one speculation for the draft tomorrow night? Like one thing that would for fantasy, you'd be like, oh, that's a game changer. One player going to one team, what would that be?
Right now is Ashton Jeanty going to Jacksonville has been talked about like crazy. If that happens, you're looking at what does Travis Etienne do? Like are you in on Ashton Jeanty in Jacksonville if he goes there? Do you think he's?
I got the first pick in our draft. I don't know. Honestly, I might be open to. I might be more open to trading pick number 1 in that type of situation. So that's probably the main storyline for all fantasy owners, right? Where does Jeanty go? And where does some of the quarterbacks maybe go? We're assuming late first round, and like the Saints, what are they doing with quarterback? But hey, it is the night before football Christmas. and every fantasy owner is waiting for that the commissioner to take the stage tomorrow and say the draft is now open.
Yeah, and you have a new dynasty team to start your little rebuild on too. So we'll hear about that. We'll look at how many draft picks you got, and you'll have to start looking at another league as well. So there we go. We got some things to look forward to. Like you said, we're almost there. Draft around the corner. Thanks for joining me, and hope you guys all enjoyed.
Thanks, Zach.